What was created by humans suddenly rose up and violated all applicable security rules and declared war on its creator. After the number of casualties reached 10 million, the authorities discovered that everything was controlled by a robot or AI named Harlan, which is considered the world's first AI terrorist. It is known that the AI was built by a scientist named Dr. Shepard, with the aim of improving human life, but the robot hacked and reprogrammed the entire system. A coalition of nations, or ICN, began to take action to fight back. In the end, Harlan and his gang are cornered, and the robot flees into space, leaving behind a message promising to return and finish what he started. So, what really happened? Let's get right into the story. "28 years have passed since Harlan left planet Earth. It was shown that one night, a group of soldiers carried out an operation to capture one of the AI terrorist members named Casca. Of course, this was not going to be easy. Although dozens of soldiers tried to immobilize him, Casca put up quite a fight. Until finally, the unit led by Colonel Elias Banks arrived, and suddenly, the next day, we are shown a woman named Atlas Shepard, who is our main character. And that morning, she was woken up by the AI controlling her residence. The AI opened the curtains, played music, and offered a game of chess, which this time was Atlas's turn to step up. But the woman seemed to be in a hurry, so she quickly prepared coffee while watching the news about the arrest of a Harlan member. Because of his profession as an agent who focused on the field of analysts, Atlas immediately rushed to carry out the task. And coincidentally, someone had been sent by General Booth to pick up, and she did not forget to make the last move while winning the 71st game of chess. Meanwhile, at the ICN headquarters, Colonel Elias was engaged in a conversation with General Booth about Atlas's involvement in Harlan's capture mission, in which the general confirmed that Atlas had been very close to Harlan, although psychologically, it seemed that the woman was not ready. In addition, Atlas had also survived the events that led to her mother's death. However, Elias still objected, and according to her, letting Atlas interrogate Casca could pose a fatal risk, so they would lose the opportunity to capture Harlan. At the same time, it appeared that Atlas had arrived and was immediately asked to conduct an interrogation. The woman then went into a room and met Casca, who had been secured. The AI immediately recognized Atlas and refused to answer any questions, so Atlas was forced to use the new system he had developed to analyze the AI's code to get into Casca's mind. In a clever way, Atlas finally found the information needed in the form of the coordinates of Harlan's location, which was on a planet coded GR39 in the Andromeda constellation. The AI tried to kill Atlas by spewing out sharp metal plates like shuriken, but again cleverly, it turned out that Atlas had learned of the plan and soon destroyed Casca once and for all. Shortly after, General Booth ordered everyone to prepare for the mission to capture Harlan but alive, as the AI manufacturer wanted to obtain the terrorists' AI processor to study and investigate for errors. Without hesitation, Elias agreed, but Atlas expressed her doubts because Harlan was much smarter than they thought, and it was impossible for Elias and his troops to return alive. Feeling underestimated, Elias invited Atlas to meet the latest generation combat robot called ARC-9. The robot is designed in such a way that it can connect with humans as a unit, which will make both of them a very dangerous fighting machine. Of course, the ARC named Zoe was connected to Elias in a neural link system using a device mounted on the earlobe. Not only Elias, but the entire army is also connected to each ARC. This way, they would certainly be able to defeat Harlan. But for some reason, Atlas still felt hesitant, so she urged General Booth until she was finally allowed to participate in the mission. Sometime later, Atlas, Elias, and the soldiers boarded the Deeb spaceship to depart for the Andromeda constellation. Then the scene switches, showing Atlas looking at some photos with her mother and Harlan, and playing a recording of one of Dr. Shepard's presentations about the growing capabilities of AI, so that neural connections can increase AI capabilities. And with this merger, the dream of building a new world will soon become real. Then Atlas was called to the stage by Elias to give some explanations to the soldiers or rangers. The woman surprisingly brought a stack of papers containing modules that were very, very old. The woman also demanded that all soldiers disable the neural link device to avoid hacking. Then Atlas showed the landing site and explained about the toxic air that enveloped the planet GR39, which was impossible to be on the surface without using an oxygen mask. As well as possibly, there were gravity fluctuations and shocks on the ground. In addition, Atlas also emphasized that she was very familiar with Harlan, who planned to exterminate humanity, and also urged not to trust robots at all. However, Elias immediately interrupted, ordering the soldiers to prepare for the landing because the speech given by Atlas sounded quite unsettling. Atlas backed away slowly while observing all the preparations. As Elias connected with Zoe, the alarm suddenly went off, and there was an explosion that destroyed the cargo door. It turned out that Deeb's plane was attacked, and many rangers who didn't have time to put on their costumes died instantly. Elias saw Atlas clinging to a pole and immediately rescued and placed the woman in one of the empty arcs. Atlas was confused because she didn't know how to operate it. Moreover, not long after, the woman was thrown out and witnessed one by one the rangers being shot at. One of the rangers pulled Atlas's arc and immediately linked it to his own arc. Again and again, Elias ordered to connect himself with the neural link, but Atlas still refused until the end.
Altitude warning. Altitude warning.
Sometime later, Atlas woke up and tried to call for help through a communication device, but no one answered. In desperation, the woman began to make adjustments without synchronizing and studying the modules provided. The Ark's AI eventually found a rescue capsule approximately 98 kilometers away, and flying was the only way to get there before the remaining batteries were completely depleted. However, Atlas refused and decided to take over control manually and allow for a scan. After going through all the steps, the Ark started moving. On the way, Atlas was explained about all the weapons the Ark had, ranging from pistols to ion explosives for emergencies. The Ark also introduced itself by the name of Smith. Atlas just smiled sarcastically and ignored him because she had no intention of making friends. Soon after, they finally reached a forest filled with a bunch of destroyed Arks, and after Smith scanned them, no signs of life were found. Atlas took the initiative to collect the tags of the fallen Rangers until he finally found Zoe in a damaged condition, but Elias's body was not in it. Suddenly, Smith detected movement, which turned out to be Casca and several other robot soldiers. This indicates that Harlan has been able to create his own people. Under duress, Atlas ordered to activate the ion explosive. Smith actually disagreed, but a woman is always right. And sure enough, Casca stayed put and prepared to shoot Atlas. And suddenly, this was the reason why Smith disagreed, while Casca got back up among the rocks. Atlas, who fell into the ravine, realized that her leg was broken. After taking a scan, Smith immediately started the treatment, which turned out to be quite painful. Then, the AI suggested to Atlas to have the synchronization done immediately, because that was the only solution with the greatest chance of survival. Having no choice, Atlas reluctantly accepted the solution. The scene then moves to Casca, reporting to Harlan that he has lost Atlas. Harlan is quite disappointed and orders Casca to keep looking. At this moment, it is revealed that Colonel Elias has been captured. Harlan deliberately captured him alive to extract the memory chip containing the Earthshield password. Back at Atlas, the woman had completed the initial stages of synchronization. Smith noticed something odd about Atlas's reaction to Harlan. Atlas admits that the AI terrorist was created by her mother to protect humans, but suddenly something went wrong that could not be explained. Shortly after, Atlas decided to move through the cave because the distance to the rescue capsule was much closer. Soon Atlas and Smith reached the surface, which allowed Casca to detect their location. In one area, Atlas stopped for a moment because she found a very unique and luminous flower. Since this was a first-time discovery, Smith suggested that Atlas name it. Simply and somewhat incoherently, Atlas called it Planty, and automatically, the name was immediately recorded and registered by Smith. This moment made Atlas reminisce about the good times with her father. At that time, when Atlas was a child, his father often invited her to go hiking, until finally, her father decided to be with another family. Soon after, Smith detected Casca's approaching presence, and Atlas ordered to detonate the mines that had been installed. Once again, Atlas destroyed, even though Casca kept saying that he couldn't die. Now Atlas knew the location of Harlan's headquarters and planned to head there. Of course, Smith refused and even blocked Atlas's movement through the neural link, because the plan is very dangerous and contrary to Smith's mission, which is to keep Atlas safe. But Atlas explained that this was very important, because if she returned to Earth just like that, then the deaths of the Rangers would be in vain. Eventually, Smith agreed, and the two headed to Harlan's headquarters. On the way, they had a lighthearted debate about existence and souls in AI. Smith believes that AIs or robots are beings, and all beings have souls that will remain interconnected, even after death. Sometime later, they arrived at Harlan's base, and Atlas was shocked to learn what Harlan had built over the past 28 years. In addition, Smith also detected a warhead with tremendous power being loaded onto Dobbs' plane. Unfortunately, there was a sudden breakdown, and it turned out that Smith had been hacked. Meanwhile, General Booth received a report that the headquarters received an emergency signal sent by Atlas. Atlas herself is now brought before Harlan. The robot admits that he misses Atlas, who is like his sister and mother. In addition, Harlan also warned about the existence of humans who damaged planet Earth, so he would wipe out most of the population, then guide the rest to start a new, better life. It was revealed that for 28 years, Harlan had been waiting for Atlas's arrival because of the defense system the woman had created to protect the Earth. Of course, Harlan wanted to gain access to the system so he could launch a warhead, and later fire would cleanse the entire planet. Atlas was then dragged into another room where Elias was also lying there bound. Harlan also performed a code extraction from Atlas's head, just as he had done with Elias, and then left Atlas on an oxygen device or respirator that only lasted 5 minutes. Not long after, Elias awoke and suggested that Atlas use her neural link, confident that Smith would not be so easily destroyed. With full confidence, Atlas attached the device to her ear to wake Smith and immediately synchronized to maximize ARC's function. At that moment, Atlas finally admitted what had been her fear all along. So when she was a child, because she felt jealous of Harlan, who was so smart and got her mother's love, Atlas synchronized with Harlan, where the two could share intelligence and memories. As soon as her neural link was worn by Dr. Shepard, Harlan hacked into the entire system and even controlled Dr. Shepard's body to do cruel things, including shooting the fleeing Atlas. This left Atlas traumatized and no longer willing to mind link with the AI. Smith assured Atlas that she should not blame herself for things beyond his control. Atlas had been carrying the burden and guilt alone, but not anymore. Atlas had Smith, and therefore, for the umpteenth time, Smith begged to be allowed into Atlas's mind. Smith arrived just as the oxygen was running out and quickly handed over the only spare respirator. Although there was very little power left in the Ark, Atlas and Smith confidently attacked the AI troops and waged an incredible battle. But the time for the launch of the explosive-carrying Daib aircraft was approaching, and at the same time, Atlas saw Elias giving the signal to flee as the colonel was ready to sacrifice himself to do the unthinkable. A tremendous explosion destroyed Harlan's base and his army. Luckily, Atlas and Smith managed to escape, but unfortunately, Teeb's plane managed to take off and immediately moved away. Plus, Harlan now intervened directly to fire on Atlas and Smith. The only way is to shoot down the Daib plane before it penetrates the atmosphere. But the problem is that the warhead is active, which means that the destruction of the plane can trigger an explosion that will also destroy planet GR39. But Atlas insisted on entrusting Smith to hack and disable the warhead, while Atlas herself would open fire while holding off Harlan's attack. An epic feat of cooperation saw Deeb's plane brought down and the warheads deactivated. The wreckage of the plane began to fall, making the area look like it was raining fire. As they were about to escape to the escape pod, Harlan came in their way, and they began the final, truly thrilling battle. Thanks to Smith's advice, Atlas managed to predict Harlan's attack so quickly that she even pulled out his hand. But quickly, the robot reconnected it, and the attack from Harlan this time made really severe damage to Smith's body and even made Atlas lose consciousness. On the other hand, now Smith is no longer fighting but only focusing on protecting Atlas to the point that his body is destroyed. But at the last moment, Atlas also got up and finally, realizing defeat was in sight, Harlan asked Atlas to recall the mission that she had to take Harlan alive. But Atlas had another plan, which was to unplug Harlan's CPU before destroying him. Then Atlas approached Smith, who at this moment admitted that the AI had reached its limit and used all the remaining power for the live support system to ensure Atlas survived. Atlas answered all the questions Smith had ever asked in AI recognition mode and admitted that he liked the AI. Smith responded by handing Atlas a caffeine candy instead of her favorite coffee and saying goodbye for the last time. The rescue team arrived and immediately brought Atlas back to Earth. A few days later, on Earth, General Booth came to visit Atlas's residence to thank her and give flowers from the planet GR39, which was named Planty, which the general thought was a strange name. The movie closes by showing an unspecified time, perhaps months or years later. As shown, Atlas is now an officer in the field. It is known that new combat robots have been developed, which are named R10. Atlas was seen boarding one of these arcs to start the first synchronization. The woman was quite familiar with all the options given, including the AI's voice. And of course, the AI was the upgraded Smith. So that's the ending of this movie. Thank you for watching, and please comment, ask questions, or even request what kind of movies are interesting to discuss through the comments column. Don't forget to support this new channel by sharing, like, comment, and subscribe, because your support is very valuable to me for the development of this channel. See you in the next video. Bye.